Now, your senses have to be perverted. Your concepts of self have to become twisted. Your appetites have to become addictions. Your thinking have to become obsessions. And your desires have to become warped. Let me repeat that again. Your senses have to be perverted. Your concepts of self have to become twisted. Your appetites must become addictions. Your thinking must become obsessions. And your desires must become warped in order for them to truly control through nanogenetics. And that's exactly what they're doing. Now let's examine this, beginning with the form of communication that they have now gotten hold of, but you have taken for granted. There is a form of communication that humans do that we take for granted every day, and we don't even think about it. And that primary form of communication is eating. If the biochemical destruction of consciousness and the manipulation of instinct could be found to have a primary, sustained, contributing factor, it is based on the sordid concoctions and putrid filth we have all been conditioned to put in our mouths as food. The shit we eat as food is perhaps the most pernicious source of biospiritual, biochemical dysfunction and distortion than any other single component besides thought. Eating is a form of communication. The beasthood has become very aware of your growing awareness and the true value of wholesome, nutritious food, and has quietly, insidiously poisoned your health foods with a free radical type landmine that tears up your divine body temple, and that stealth weapon is called MSG. 65% of the foods you eat is genetically engineered now. 65% and growing. And now they have legislation, Monsanto and Bechtel and all the rest of these companies have their lawyers hard at work to not have, to call their genetically labeled products organic. So that you can't tell what's getting ready to happen to your body if that genetically engineered shit don't work. They just genetically engineered tryptophan, and it killed 36 people. The Japanese. They didn't tell you about that. Injured permanently over 1,000. Now MSG is the most investigated, the most studied and researched food derivative of all time. They found, for example, that if you were to take neurons out of a tissue of the body and place them in a petri dish full of MSG solution, it kills the neurons. Well, what is a neuron? Well, a neuron is the cell, any of the cells of nerve tissue consisting of a nucleated portion and cytoplasmic extension, the cell body and the dendrites and axons. I hope I said it right in saying that, because you know I have my official hieroglyphics. What do you call it? The interpreter in Dr. Ann Brown. They also found something very interesting about MSG and other food additives and its effect on the brain, the eyes, and the nervous system as a whole. It just so happens that MSG causes tumors in the substantia nigra, or the midbrain, where the deeper neuromelanin is supposedly contained. Why, since 1950s, in the study of MSG, and they know what fucking MSG does, they know what soy does to your brain and to your endocrine system, why would they now push it as health food to you? Oh, we haven't touched that, have we? Oh, we're getting ready to get deep. How much time we have? You think I should tell? Oh, okay. You think I should tell them this? Y'all really want to know this? Oh, all right. I didn't know y'all really wanted to know this shit, you know. Okay. One of the most startling discoveries, one that they've kept hidden, kept it shelved and locked away, was the fact that MSG and other such food additives like aspartame, which is in the gum, in your toothpaste, causes the endocrine organs of the body to become underdeveloped, or creating a distortion in the overall functioning of your endocrine system. Does anyone, besides those who know, have a clue to what your endocrine system is? Yeah. Your hormonal system and your sexual system. The gender-making system. The system that aligns your electricity and magnetism based upon the physiological design that was created in the womb. The endocrine system regulates your machinery according to the design. If you have a vagina, it regulates the machinery according to a vaginal orifice. If you have a penis, it regulates your machinery according to the penis. Now, if you distort the endocrine system, shit goes haywire. And the penis thinks it's a vagina, and the vagina thinks it's a penis. So if you are eating foods that invariably distorts the endocrine system, then you are eating foods that destroy your body's ability to pick up information according to particular frequencies that were made specific for your body design. That's why women no longer have certain instincts. Very few women who are the ones participating in this bullshit we call so-called European civilization, because this ain't Western civilization. Western civilization got fucked as soon as Columbus landed. So this ain't Western civilization. As soon as you distort the frequency of the feminine principle, she no longer has the ability to have the empathy for children, the empathy for wanting to make homes, the empathy to nest. Oh, there are many women that have visceral feelings for that. But the overall feeling is that I want to go out and yang. I want to go out and play ball. I want to go out and play this. I'm the new woman. But how the fuck are we who is it that's giving you your instructions in your development as a species in consciousness? What is this preoccupation you got to follow along with white people and what they do? Why is it that you got to look at entertainment tonight to find out what some sick-ass motherfuckers in TV and television and movies is doing so that you can map your life around that shit? I'll wait for everybody to give a little more respect on this tip. We good? The preoccupation of us trying to be like them reinforces them, gives them the onus and the impetus. We are the life force. We are the original frequency band that everybody else taps into. You know how they take these dishes and they tap into other people's dishes? Well, that's what they've been doing. They've been tapping into our melanin, our black matter consciousness frequencies, and they live on it because we remain ignorant as to who we are. We have changed the foundation of who we are, and we are too preoccupied with what they are and see how well we could best align with them. That's our problem. It also causes the MSG, destroys the neuron in the bipolar layer of the eyes of the retina. Now, I mentioned here that Dr. Brown told me that the substantia nigra of the brain is the black box, melanin central, what I call the nexus for visual perception. It is the place which titrates dopamine and L-dopamine. It's the center for the organization of physical consciousness through the organizational capabilities of melanin. It manages the specialization of melanin, that is, refining it to be used throughout the body temple, from neuromelanin to neurotransmitters and eventually to our skin and that information processing center that is on the blackness or the darkness that we have on the top of our skin, the outer layer. Now, just stop to think about that for a moment. Here you have what turns out to be a known neurotoxin, or better yet, let's not say a neurotoxin, let's call it a nerve killer for what it really is. A nerve killer. Studied for decades, revealing its deadly capabilities to scientists, and still it is used in all of our foods. In the Chinese foods, in West Indian foods, in East Indian foods, and God knows what else. More insane, but yet cleverly diabolical, is its rampant use in our so-called health food restaurants and health food grocery stores. If this substance attacks the brain function, then it is being purposefully used to attack the high holy tabernacle of the Supreme Being, the sanctum sanctorum of divine intelligence, the processor of the light codes of redemption, the perceiver, the ark of the covenant, the temple of the knower, the high chamber of the thinker, and command central of the doer. What this all means is that the beasthood knows what it's doing to you. They know that eating is meant to be a form of communication between soul, your personal soul, and the universal soul. The galactic soul is totally in communication with us through the earth soul. They know that by interfering and affecting your brain with these ingredients, they distort the function and your ability to translate and to integrate the inherent messages within the higher light codes, because the biochemical components necessary for crystal clear transmission has been short-circuited. Of course, this means that your instincts become perverted, because higher spiritual instincts can only be translated properly through a healthy, orthobiotically functioning biochemistry. Let me say that again. Higher universal instincts can only be translated and can only be properly synthesized through a healthy biochemistry. You cannot be sick and your body and your cells be distorted and hope as a receiver transmitter to pick up the proper form of information. Yes, sister. You're asking for solutions, and I'm not yet finished telling you the problems. Now, here are some of the different names that MSG finds itself into. And I remember I said that I was going to put the names down for all the people, and I put it down in a couple of the other programs that I did, and I intend to, as many times as I have to, put down how many foods and in how many forms MSG comes in. So when you are out shopping and you are in your holistic supermarket, or you're going down there to get you an Ito burger or an Ito this, check the ingredients to see whether or not they are slipping these mind distorters into your food. All right? Some of the other names that disguise the words MSG or monosodium glutamate are calcium caseinate, C-A-S-E-I-N-A-T-E, hydrolyzed vegetable protein. That's in all of your hamburgers, all your vegetable protein. Monopotassium glutamate, yeast extract. These are all MSG, another name. Autolyzed, A-U-T-O-L-Y-Z-E-D, plant protein. Glutamic acid. Autolyzed yeast. Gelatin. Gelatin. Textured protein. Hydrolyzed plant protein. Not just autolyzed, but hydrolyzed plant protein. Glutamate. Yeast foods or nutrients. Anything that says yeast food or nutrient on the package. Now, also sodium caseinate, S-O-D-I-U-M, caseinate. Now, you're going to only find these in prepared foods that you buy. All right? Not your organic foods yet. That's why we're fighting so hard for there to be that they don't label genetically altered food as organic. Now, here are some ingredients that often are or made up of MSG. Malted barley, flavor. Here. Or no, contains MSG. Or are considered MSG byproducts. Yeah. Yes, sir. Barley malt. Anything that says barley malt or malted barley. They have the MSG effect on the brain, which sometimes we're not even realizing that a lot of the tonics that are sold to us in the form of herb tonics have an agitating, that's the thing I'm going to be speaking about in Atlanta in the next couple of weeks. We take in herbs and tonics and serums, not realizing that they act like MSG on our bodies because they are stimulants, they're not nutrients. And anything that stimulates the body without giving it, in effect, the nutrient, and the whole thing about nutrition is a myth any fucking way. Because if you understand how the body truly operates as a solar machine, secondhand imbibing or the secondhand stuffing of organic products into your face has nothing to do with your living properties. It is because you have somatogenically degenerated that you have become dependent upon eating, and that you have forgotten that you are not a creature. In the Bible, it speaks in Genesis that you ate of the fruit of the tree of life, which meant that the only thing that you ate of the fruit of the tree of life, if you look in your body, you will see that as you look at the spine and the nerves, as they connect towards the lungs and the bronchioles, you will see it looks like a tree. Now, the only thing that is of the fruit of the tree of life is essentially what the solar energy condenses in the form of vapors into your being. And breath, you are the breath of life. You're not the apple of life. You're not the Mickey D burgers of life. You are the breath of life, and that's what you were. That's who you originally were in your prototypical shell, in your prototypical vehicle. You were a creature that was created. Now, if you're supposed to be created by God, and you are a son of the child or a daughter of God, you were created perfect, needing nothing. And that the connection between you and that was the current of life, which was the movement, or what you call the spirit. And if you look at the word espiritu, you will see that it means breath. So eating, I'm talking to you, is essentially about a learned addiction. Now, it's very difficult for us to deal with this situation because we're not talking on a level where we're ready to go back to that state. We live in a fucking cesspool. We are treading water with it up to our nose. And we're not really treading water. We are in a septic tank. So to even espouse such principles to you is something removed into the archival memory and rusted shut in that vault of experience. So me speaking to that part of you, there may be a part of you that remembers what I'm speaking about, but I'm speaking to the somatic body right now. I'm speaking to that somatogenically processed entity that sits before me, that sits here speaking to you now, the part that thinks it needs to eat. That part that has trained ourselves. So I'm speaking to you as the gods that you are, and the goddesses that you are, the neters and the neterettes that you are, the sparks of light that was originally your first container for consciousness. So as I was saying, barley malt, and if I forget to say certain things along the line, I'll remember to say them again about who we were. Anything that says flavors or flavoring added. Modified food starch. Anything that says barley mal, M-A-L. Anything that says reaction flavors. Rice syrup and brown rice syrup. Malt extract or flavorings. Lipolyzed butter fat. Natural chicken, beef, or pork. The stuff that they say is ingredients in it, says contains natural chicken. MSG. Maltodextrin. M-A-L-T-O-D-E-X-T-R-I-N. Seasonings. Those seasonings that you see them get, that they get in the health food store, the stuff that they tell you, oh, it's better than salt. It's MSG.